In this video, let's talk about banlist predictions for the Yu-Gi-Oh format. Phantom Nightmare is insane, it's changed the game in a crazy way. So there are a lot of things up for contention. There's a lot of cards we could also put off the ban list with new cards released. And we just come off fresh from YCS Sydney. This seemed to be the YCS for Rogue. And then we had in top 8 4 Snake Eye, 4 Fire King. Just goes to show Snake Eye is still the best deck. Let's get into the banlist predictions of what I think will happen for the next banlist for 2024. Before we get into it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. What videos would like me to cover next on the channel? And let's get into the video. Alright guys, let's start off strong. Snake Eye Ash. We're going to cover this card first. This card is the 1 card plus a million. This is the card you want to imperm. This is the card you want to Veiler. This is the card that starts everything. It has 2 really strong effects, and because of the way Popular works, Snake Eye Ash's effect 2 special from deck is not that big of a deal because Popular will be in the ST zone. Konami have had a very recent trend of giving us very powerful common and super rare cards like Bestials, Shavara, you know, cards that are super rare indicate something else in the deck might also get hit. I don't think it's going to be banned. I think that's a really silly idea. They are pushing the Snake Eye archetype, but I could see it going to 1, guys. And as we all know, Konami sometimes, you know, they can just do anything they want. Sometimes it's not easy to predict what they will do, but I do think Snake Eye Ash is on the hit list. If this card gets hit to 1, it will be a significant hit, but at the same time, it won't mean much. They might just add 3rd Popular. They might just add other search cards to find these monsters. And they have 3 Bonfire anyway. And they have 3 Diablo Star, 3 Wanted. They may even run a 2nd Original. So I'm not concerned if it goes to 1. I think the deck will still dominate as the best deck. So that's my opinion on Snake Eye Ash. Let's also discuss Wanted, which is extremely expensive right now. This kind of card feels like it could be in Rarity Collection. I can see this card going to 2, going to 1. And you know what? The unfortunate thing is it will hit other decks that enjoyed the Diablo Star package. And in that sense, I don't like that it would be hit, but it seems like the next best card to hit. Diablo Star itself, I mean, it shouldn't be affected on the ban list. Again, it has its own archetype coming up. Would be quite strange for them to do that. They seem to want to push pure Snake Eye as well with Diableeze and the big Popular. So for that reason, I think Diablo Star, mostly Wanted, just Wanted will be here on the ban list. But with those concerns about reprints, you know, Konami, they love to reprint things before a ban list implication. Look at Hauke Fibrax. So if it goes in Rarity Collection, guys, we might see Wanted coming up in the ban list. Remember, the card is a draw 1 as well. It's a quick play spell. I think that is like another addition to making this card really strong. When you see card design when a card is newly released, you know, if for example this card was not a quick play, it would lose more to anti-spell, and that it could have been a more fairer of a card text. But this is Konami. When they want to make a deck tier 0, they will make a deck tier 0. So I think Wanted has way too many good things going for it. It's likely it could be hit to 2 or even 1. Fire King Kirin, I mean, I don't even think this card should be hit, but I wanted to bring this card up for you guys to debate. What do you think about this card at 3? All the other Fire King cards are at 1. Typically, you would see the Kirin be hit if they were to touch anything. But then again, it's a structure deck card. Do they really want to destroy this card? Do they really want to impact it where it may impact other budget players who, you know, play Fire King? It is a structure deck after all. Let me know in the comments what you think about Kirin. Should this stay at 3? If it goes to 2? If it goes to 1, is Fire King Snake Eye dead? I'd love to know what your thoughts about that. Moving on is Summon Limit, Anti-Spell Fragrance, you know, the Floodgates. So Summon Limit clearly is the trendy Floodgate for this format. It's so easy to win a game with Summon Limit. It's very unfair. And the way it's worded, it of course makes it difficult to actually play around it, because you can flip it after the 2 summons and then the opponent is screwed. So for that reason, I think Summon Limit is a card that actually may be limited. We've seen all the other Floodgates get limited, and I feel like for their formats it made sense, but in this format, Summon Limit really is the one that is actually implicating a lot of decks right now. Even Fire King and Pure Snake Eye are playing it when it really was just a voiceless tech in the past. So I think Summon Limit being very generic now and it being included in pretty much anyone's side deck feels to me like the broken trap cards of the past that are now banned. It can just decide games way too easy. I mean, given the way modern Yu-Gi-Oh is, everything is monsters. So we're not going to have access to those spell trap removals as much as we think. Let's talk about Gimme Puppet, guys. I've been calling for this card to be banned so many times, but in a very strange way, it's come full circle. And because of the tier 0, you know, Monopoly, Fire King, and Snake Eye Pure have on the meta, I like that Gimme Puppet is in the game. And I like that Branded is finally contending these top decks because of that really broken FTK. Which, I mean, again, to be fair, you know, Fire King decks, Pure Snake Eye decks will run 15 to 18 hand traps post siding, so it's a question of whether they will go for Gimme Puppet. But, you know, we can't lie, we can't deny the fact how broken this card really is. Not everyone is going to have an answer to Gimme Puppet, and it does force Bestials to be in the side deck, which I think is a great thing. It's really interesting game scenarios we saw in, like, the sprite meta when Beastals were around. It created really interesting interaction, which I really enjoyed watching. I can't believe I'm saying this, guys, but I kind of want to see Gaming Puppet stay for this format and then for it to be banned in future formats. I just like that having Gaming Puppet allows Branded to contend with the best decks. And honestly, guys, I do want Branded to win a YCS. That would be amazing to see. D-Shifter is a card that I don't think can actually be hit on the ban list. In OCG, it's at 2, but I feel like for us, it creates a very different meta. And honestly, guys, it is, again, that combo check, that tier 0 check that, tier 0 decks can't actually run. It can take out Voiceless Voice. And to be honest, guys, graveyard decks are getting way too crazy. Why can't we have an option that takes them out, that can also introduce mid-range decks like Kashtira, potentially Floowandereeze? That said as well, I mean, with Gamma going to 1, I don't like that interaction with Shifter. I wish Gamma was at 3, so we could have a draw phase meta with Ash, Gamma, Shifter, Call by the Grave. I feel like that is a really cool thing to see, and Bell Gospel as well. So yeah, and Crossout. We can't forget Crossout, which is also played in all of these Snake Eye decks. Speaking of Crossout, Crossout Designate is obviously played in every single tier 0 Snake Eye deck, and for good reason, because everything is a mirror match. And I feel like when you're at that YCS level, you have to be playing Crossout and or Lullaby of Obedience. But I want to focus on Crossout. It is a card that's limited in the OCG, but we all know why. It's because Maxi is the best card in Yu-Gi-Oh! So for that reason, they have to play it. But whether that means the TCG should have it, honestly, no. It's in a bubble how Crossout is being used right now in the Snake Eye deck. Once Snake Eye drops in popularity, Crossout will again become a very specific card for specific decks. In the past, we used it to cross out D-Barrier in Branded. I want to know your thoughts on this card. It can also hit Triple Tactics Talents. It can hit Dark Riddle no more. It can hit Droplets. Yeah, I'd love to know your thoughts, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think about Crossout Designator. Another card that is now less in contention is King Calamity, which, I mean, every time I'm looking through my Manadium cards that could be used in the deck, I'm always seeing Calamity, and I'm like, man, what happened to this card? Nothing really happened to it, but the Calamity, the Manadium strategy doesn't really end on Calamity anymore, which it can still easily do. This is kind of Centurion's win condition, and the deck isn't doing anything, Centurion, despite having Calamity. And I think Calamity is a good card to keep for the RDA deck. It is a structured deck, it's an anime hero deck, so for that reason we need that big boss monster to finish games. So I think it should stay in the game, but again, I want to know what your thoughts are about Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. If you're a fan of the channel, if you like Pendulum, you're gonna love this one. Electrumite, guys, should be off the ban list. Honestly, guys, I think this card should be back. I mean, why can we not have a Pendulum deck thriving in the meta? I know Pendulum is a really toxic strategy, and I agree with you, but I don't see why we can't have a Pendulum deck in that, again, tier 1 contention, which we haven't had in a really long time. I could see players who play tier 1 decks drop them for Pendulum strategies. I would love for this card to be off the ban list to give that big boost to Pendulum. So again, they're in contention at the tier 1 spot. Heavy Storm should come off the ban list. No reason why it shouldn't. We have Lightning Storm, we have Harpy Silver Duster, we have Evenly Matched. You know what, guys? I'm going to say now, I think this card will come off the ban list at 1. I'll be surprised if it's not. This is such a classic card. This is more of a nostalgic card, and I would just love to see it played in our format. The funny thing is, with Heavy Storm at 1, will people even play it when Lightning Storm clearly is the next best option, because it can also take out Link monsters? That's a very interesting thing to point out. And again, another reason why I think Heavy Storm should be taken off the ban list. In an ideal world, this card is put in Rarity Collection because it's such a nostalgic card, and we get that QCR Heavy Storm. That'd be insane. Next up is Curious, guys. So Lightstone with Legacy of Destruction. He's not going to be the best deck in the game, maybe one of the best combo decks in the game. And whether Grass comes back to 1 to boost the Lightstone strategy, we would have to wait and see. I think Curious is a card that was extremely toxic, but with Tournament, hit significantly. I don't think Curious is going to be a detrimental thing to the game. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong as well, but is the Snake Eye deck going to abuse this? I'm honestly not sure. Then again, they have so many Link plays. For that reason, maybe Curious should come back to 1 to again boost that Lightstone archetype. Speaking of combo decks and synchros, Glow Up Bulb is banned, but maybe it's time we can come back to 1. I don't see many synchro decks popping off with Glow Up Bulb. I would love to see Legacy of Destruction release a new format, update the format, rehash the format with cards like Lightstone with Glow Up Bulb coming back. The issue with Glow Up Bulb though is with these plant and insect good stuff, there is room for things to be abused, and I think for that reason maybe Glow Up Bulb should stay on the ban list. But guys, in the OCG, it's at 1. It's been taken off very recently. Certain things in the OCG we don't really copy for the most part, but I feel like this is something we could copy where we just get it back off the ban list. I think Super Bully should stay at 3 because it's the card that our non-meta decks can use to answer meta decks. And I like that Snake Eye are not using this card, so it goes to show that, it can't be splashed in any deck. They can potentially play through Super Poly, but it's very difficult for them to do. And I feel like is a card that belongs here. Again, it helps branded, contend for those top decks. It helps voiceless contend for the top decks. So I think it's a good card to give access to the format for many players in the game, not just voiceless and branded. Next up is Runick tips. So Runick is still around. Fountain is at 2, and I feel like Runick is still on Konami's radar. I just don't want a repeat in Euros where we've suddenly come full circle for like the 3rd year in a row. I don't want Runick to be played as some engine that everyone just keeps playing. I mean, it did really well with Bestial Synchro, Bestial Runick, and that was a really sick innovation, guys. So for that reason, I kind of like Runick again. It innovated the deck, and the Sleipnir isn't doing much for the archetype, and I feel like hitting Runick tip is very dangerous because it could either make or break the deck. Should it be limited? Are you just a player who keeps getting decked out by Runick? Are you a Runick player who just likes the strategy? I feel like Runick is a very biased archetype, both against and for it, so it's a very controversial card to bring up. And that, guys, has been my ban list predictions. I do think we're going to see a ban list impact either before Nationals or Euros, definitely before Euros, and for that reason I cannot wait to see what Konami makes for this. We've gone through so many things on the format, cards that should come back and will make an impact, cards that will be put on the list and impact other things in the deck. Right now with Snake Eye the way it is, anything that happens to it is a ripple effect into the entire format. Because of how resilient and powerful Voiceless is, will we see a Voiceless meta in Euros because of the bad hits to Snake Eye? Do hits to the Snake Eye deck even make sense with how much money they can pull in from this? Bonfire is expensive, Wanted is expensive, and it's a reason for people to buy product. But when Age of Overlord is a myth, it doesn't exist in stores, maybe that's enough reason to hit Wanted now, especially if they announce it in Rarity Collection. So there we go, guys. That has been my thoughts on the ban list predictions. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments down below. We do have Legacy of Destruction coming up next, so best believe I'm going to be doing a how to play Memento guide. I'm going to be doing a how to play Tenpai guide. So that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.